All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another one, y'all. All right, y'all, let's talk about it. Liz Carmouche taking on Jena Bishop for the flyweight final championship. Big statement, big win, big finish for Liz Carmouche. Again, I got to say shout out to Liz Carmouche. She's still doing it. At this age, she's still making history for herself and for WMMA. Definitely can't knock her. She's still hungry, still strong, still improving, and still, right? And still, she's still a champion. She's still a champion at heart. So I got to give her a lot of credit. But going into this fight, I mean, right away, I'll say this before I even talk about the actual fight. As soon as the fight started, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes in, you could see the levels in this fight. You could see the levels as far as strategy. I think Jena Bishop, she wanted to break Liz's will early and get that quick finish like she's used to. Whereas Liz Carmouche, she was ready for 5 rounds and she was just letting Jena Bishop overexert herself and just kind of gas herself out. And then she would take over at the midpoint, which is what she did. I think Jena Bishop, like I said in the past, she's quick. She's quick to go for that submission, and she likes to go in for the kill early. But I could see it in like Liz Carmouche's body language and in her facial expressions, like throughout some of the rounds, where she just looked like she was calm, cool, and collected, and she was just feeling out Jena Bishop at times. But then when she seen Jena really attacking, all she had to do was kind of go into defense and just use just use some reversals on the ground and, even land some counter shots off the back foot and let Jena Bishop taste her power here and there until at that midpoint when she felt like Jena Bishop was starting to gas, she took over. Now, granted, I did pick Liz Carmouche, but I thought she was going to maybe stop her in like the 4th or 5th round by like a TKO or a submission. But really, I was going with Liz Carmouche by decision. I thought she was just going to wear her down to the end and then just take over just by, outworking her. But the fashion that she beat her in, that was a big statement win. It just shows you that, Liz still has something in her. She still has something in her. I mean, right from the jump in the first round, I thought Jena Bishop was doing a good job with her pressure and her striking. She had some good dirty boxing moments, but overall, Liz's shots, I think they seem crisper. They seem crisper and they seem like they stung more, like that inside leg kick and that right hand. So when Jena Bishop kind of felt that power, she took it to the cage and started getting more control time in. Liz Carmouche was backed into the cage and Jena started fighting for underhooks and she was landing those knees to the body, which I thought they were landing pretty solid. They were good, but Liz really wasn't phased. She wasn't really hurt or phased. She was taking these shots, but she knew, like I said, she was just kind of letting Jena take the fight to her and overfight throughout these rounds. She was using a lot of energy. So as soon as she found a moment to separate, she started backing Jena up. And by the end of the round, she made a big statement by landing that combination on Jena and rocked Jena with a big right hand. And Jena had to kind of shell up towards the end there. So she let Jena feel that power. She did let her feel that power. Now, I gave Jena Bishop the first round, but like I said, Liz was in it and she was just kind of feeling out Jena Bishop, where Jena Bishop was really trying to fight hard and give her all she had. The second round was solid, man. That was probably my favorite round because they were just both showing some good grappling exchange. It was like some really good showcases of grappling from Jena and Liz. Liz, she started out with the crisper striking again, that inside leg kick and right hand. But when it was Liz who kind of forced that takedown attempt, when Jena locked up with her, she almost put herself in trouble by putting herself right into that armbar. Because, I mean, Jena, she locked it in off of her back and then laid Liz down. And I was like, oh, here it go. Liz about to get finished. But again, those veteran skills kicked in and she was able to hold on. But then the veteran jiu-jitsu in Jena kicked in when she transitioned to that triangle, and she almost choked out Liz Carmouche with the triangle. She was laying elbows to the head, and then she locked that triangle in. But again, the veteran skills kicked in when Liz found that moment to slip out, and she got on top and almost got her own triangle. But I like how Jena Bishop was able to just stay calm and slide her head out. And then Liz, she just used that counter jiu-jitsu to get back to her feet. And when she got back to her feet, she kind of forced the fight to the cage. But again, I think that Jena Bishop edged this round out with, that cage control time and those submission attempts. Because when she got Liz back to the cage again, she was getting in that pressure and landing a couple of strikes. So fighting hard to win these rounds, it was really taking a lot out of Jena Bishop. Because when she went back to her corner, you could kind of see her I won't say like not beaten as far as, just, oh, Liz Carmouche ain't going anywhere. Now I'm not getting her respect, but she just kind of looked like she was starting to kind of gas out a little bit. Like, oh man, like she's taking everything I'm giving her. So I think that's one of the things is Liz Carmouche wasn't really respecting anything. She wasn't respecting the power. She wasn't respecting the grappling of Jena Bishop. So that's what was making, I think, Jena Bishop have to work harder. So going into that third round, you could see like how Jena Bishop was starting to gas out, because from here, Liz Carmouche, she was landing, some nice outside strikes. She was just kind of picking Jena Bishop apart here. Every now and then, Jena Bishop would land like a good right hand or left, but she was pushing shots. And then there was a point in the third round when Jena Bishop threw a right hand. She kind of leaned into it, and her right hand was slow to come back to her chin or come back to her head. She just looked fatigued. I was like, uh-oh. When I saw that, I was like, either Liz Carmouche going to catch her at this moment, or the next time she drops that right hand, she going to get knocked out. I thought it was either going to be like a head kick or like this Superman punch. But either way, I could tell like Jena Bishop was kind of fatigued after that one right hand. I was like, somebody's going to get knocked out here, because she was just slow at that point. It was like a slow motion right hand where she threw her whole body into it, and then she came back slow to her stance. So when I saw that, I was like, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. And it took like less than a minute. And when she stepped in after, throwing a combination that got parried by Liz, Liz came back, landed 2-3 shots, went to the body with the right hand, came back with the left hand, boom, rolls Jena Bishop, dropped her hard. I mean, that left hand landed right on the chin, right on the money, and dropped her and rolled her. And right before she could step in and land some shots, the referee stopped it. And I mean, for good reason, because I think when she landed that one big left hand, she was just going to lay there anyway. But big, solid third round finish for Liz Carmouche. So yeah, man, that's one thing I've been talking about Liz Carmouche. Like sometimes she'll kind of surprise you. Like every now and then she'll kind of put on an average performance, but she's always consistent as far as, doing what she's got to do to win. Like sometimes she'll lose rounds, but then she'll bounce back and win. She's kind of like the Bernard Hopkins of WMMA. All right. Like she might have some boring fights here and there, but she's rough and rugged. She's tough, and she'll get the victory how she feels like it. Every now and then she'll surprise you, but overall, she's doing what she got to do to win. And that's kind of how Bernard Hopkins fights. He ain't going to put on these highlight reel knockout performances or just go in there and stay consistent as far as exciting you, but he will get the victory. And I think it's that 40-year-old in both of these fighters. It's that 40-year-old energy in both of these fighters where they're just like, you know what, I'm here to win. I'm trying to impress myself. I'm trying to, set the bar for myself. And I think that's what a lot of these older fighters are doing. They're going in there with goals, and they just want to see how they can do it. And I think that's what Liz Carmouche did. So yeah, shout out to Liz Carmouche, flyweight champion. She's the winner of the tournament, moves on from here. And from here, like I said, she's pretty much just kind of setting the bar for herself. I mean, they asked her about the big things that she wants to do. She said something about a bantamweight division, trying to open up a bantamweight division and maybe fight for that belt. But I don't really think a lot of people have interest in that. The one thing they do have interest in is what she brought up, and that's the Dakota Ditcheva fight. All right, that's the super fight that everybody pretty much wants now. They want Liz Carmouche versus Dakota. I mean, really, everybody wants Dakota in the UFC, but Dakota ain't going to the UFC for another 2 years. So let's be real. This is the biggest fight for Dakota and the biggest fight for Liz. And Liz is all for it. There ain't no duck talk over there. She says she wants it. So I think that's the biggest fight you can make outside of the UFC for either of these fighters now. So yeah, I hope they make that thing happen either by the end of this year, or we might as well go ahead and get ready to say like January or February for real, right? Maybe they'll do it in the off season. But yeah, that's the fight to make. That's the fight they need to go ahead and start pushing. I think Liz Carmouche, she definitely got the veteran skills. When it comes down to the stand-up and the striking and the power, we know that's all Dakota, right? But like I said, Liz Carmouche, you just never know what she's capable of doing. She can take a fight in the deep waters. She can fight at her own pace and just do it how she wants to. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, shout out to Liz Carmouche. She called for the big dog. Ain't no ducking. As for Jena Bishop, I think that Jena Bishop, the one thing about her is, she's a scrappy fighter, but it's just that pacing. It's something, a lot of champions, they all experience and, they all know about is how to fight at a pace. I think that's the one thing Jena needs to really learn how to fight at is at a good pace. I know she's fought 3 rounds before, but when you're in it for the long haul against somebody durable and strong and experienced, you got to, take your time in there. And I think she just kind of overexerted herself and tried to fight too hard, and she kind of gassed out and dropped her hands, just left herself open. So I think her pacing and her defense is something she's got to work on. But yeah, man, what do y'all think in the comment section? Liz Carmouche versus Dakota. I'll probably do another video talking about the matchup just as far as an early look, but let me know what y'all think so far. Hit that like button and subscribe. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Peace.